Hi everyone, welcome back to my vlog. I'm Robin, or Hobbits Reading List, and this week we are at my dad's house for Christmas, and I'm gonna get a lot of books. That'll be in a different video, but I know I'm getting a lot of books. But I'm also going to try to read as much as possible while still spending time with my family, because while I don't think I will meet my reading goal this year, I want to get close. So, let's get into it. Alright, so this isn't the best angle. I will figure out a better filming position, but I wanted to make sure to film before I just completely forgot everything. So, I drove down yesterday, and it was about 12 hours, almost exactly. If I were to somehow drive the whole thing without stopping, it would be about 10.5 hours from where I live in Indiana to where my dad lives in Arkansas. But cars, no matter how amazing of gas mileage, cannot do 750 miles in one go. So I had to stop a couple times. So that's why it's closer to 12. So I finished an audiobook, but that was in last week's vlog. And then I was going to listen to an audiobook that I found earlier in the week called The 12 Gays of Christmas, I think. And it was 5.5 hours. And the premise looked really interesting about this jock at college who was trying to find another guy at school to take his virginity. And his grumpy roommate was helping him with that, and they end up developing feelings for each other. So I liked the premise. However, the narrator, I could not do it. I think I listened to maybe 5 minutes. I'm like, nope, I cannot listen to this narrator. It's something about their performance was really bothering me. So I sort of abandoned that and just sort of listen to music for a couple hours. At one of my stops, I did put up an Instagram story asking for I think I said specifically Christmas. No, I said holiday. Gay holiday novella audiobook recommendations. And one of the people that I'm mutuals with on Instagram recommended the Heartbridge collection or something. She said they're sickly sweet, which I can definitely see. But, that they're a good time. And starting to listen to it, it's pretty much a Hallmark movie. In fact, there's several mentions of Hallmark movies in the book. I started with the first one, Tic Tac Mistletoe, which I'm not quite sure where the tic-tac-toe comes in, but that's fine. It's following this guy, Hamish. He is Australian, but he's moving to America to kind of start over. His life is a disaster, apparently, and his sister already lives in America, and so he's going to meet up with her for Christmas in Idaho and then start rebuilding his life in America. But because it's the States, the weather is unpredictable, and so a blizzard happens. His flight gets diverted to Montana, and he doesn't have anything. He ends up getting rescued, I think is a good word, by Ren. His name is Reynold Brooks. And they're kind of not really snowed in, but they spend 2 days with each other while trying to get, Hamish back on the road with his car fixed and all this sort of stuff. And they have a really good connection. And so I'm enjoying it because it's very light, it's fluffy, it's funny. I have no real issues with it. Is there a lot of substance? No. And that's fine. That's fine. So I am enjoying it. I'm about halfway. And I will probably try to finish the rest of it on my Kindle or something, just because I'm not going to be listening to an audiobook again until Saturday when I leave. So I will probably try to finish that by Christmas. Other than that, I have these story collections that I'm pretty sure they're all from Barnes & Noble. but they're just like short stories written by a particular author. And so I brought 2 of them. I have 3, but I cannot find the 3rd one whatsoever. So just a while ago, I read Christmas with Louisa May Alcott, which is 2 of her short stories around Christmas. One of them is about this girl named Effie. She's in a pretty well-off family, and it's hard to like Effie until the end. I'm not gonna lie. But she's complaining because every Christmas is the same. You know, she gets stories told to her. She gets all these presents, and she likes like half of them, but then she gets bored with them. And she eats bonbons, and every Christmas is just the same. And it's like, she ends up sort of being corrected by her mom, and she's like, what do you want? And she tells her not to be like Scrooge. So then Effie goes and reads A Christmas Carol, and she ends up having a dream that night about all the beauty and joy of Christmas, and about how it helps brighten people's day, and we should be grateful for it and try to help the people who are not as fortunate as other people. And she wakes up and she shares this dream with her mom, and her mom's like, that's something different we can do. And so her mom creates this whole thing for this like girls' orphanage in their town, where, you know, really makes their holiday. And it's very touching. I don't want to go into detail because it was very, very nice, and it did make me like kind of well up a little bit. And, you know, Effie learned a great lesson and appreciated Christmas all the rest of her days, as she should. But yeah, it was hard to like Effie at first. And then the second story is about these 2 girls, Dolly and Polly, who are not well off. Their dad had just died like a couple months before. Their mom was working a lot. They lived in this, I believe it's a boarding house. And Dolly and Polly are talking about like the things that they wish they could have for Christmas, but that they worked so hard, and they had only saved up a quarter, and they had given it to, I think, their younger siblings or something, I'm not sure. But their neighbor could hear them and decided to, you know, do some things that would make them feel better. And so she contributed some things, and then another neighbor saw her, and so she said what the girls had said, and so he decided to help as well. So the whole boarding house sort of steps in and gives these 2 girls this amazing Christmas. And I was like, well, that's really sweet too. It was very sweet. It was a really heartwarming, quick story. It's only like, it was a quick story, but the whole thing was only like 54 pages. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars, like, despite my feelings about Effie. I really liked it. It was very well done. So yeah, gave that 5 stars. I believe that is my 100th book for this year, which means for my reading goal I have 15 left. I just don't think I'll be able to get to it. But I have continued reading every day, which is going to be my goal for next year as well, is to read every day. So doing well with that. But yeah, that's about it. Tonight, I will either try to read the other short story collection I have, which is by Hans Christian Andersen. I think it has 4 short stories, so I think it's a little bit longer at maybe 80-ish pages. Or I will finish reading Tic Tac Mistletoe, but I will check in probably tomorrow with what I read. Sorry if the sound is a little weird. I have the fan on because I'm in Arkansas, and it's much hotter here than it is in Indiana. And my body's just not used to it. I'm it's literally I don't know, 50, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's so hot. But so I have the fan on, so sorry if you can hear that. I finished reading 2 books today. Dad spent a lot of today in the kitchen cooking Christmas Eve dinner. So me and my sibling just kind of hung out on the couch all day. And so I finished 2 novellas. One of them is not even a novella. One of them is like a short story. I'll start with that one. So I read A Charmed Christmas, which is a Christmas short story by Alison Cochrun set in her Charmed Offensive universe. So it takes place like 6 weeks after the novel. And it's very cute. It's just about Charlie and Dev sort of like hosting this Christmas and figuring out like what they want their relationship to look like and sort of balancing the opinions of some of their friends versus like what they want to do in their relationship. So I really liked it. It was about 30 pages, so obviously it didn't take me that long, but I really love the Charmed Offensive. I think I gave it like 5 stars, and this was also very good. I felt like their friends that were in it, if I was reading this as a standalone short story, I would think that the friends were one-dimensional. And honestly, I feel like not all of them needed to be there. And like it could have been a series of like texts or phone conversations. Like it didn't need to happen in that way because they weren't super relevant. So I did give it 4 stars because of that. But the Charlie and Dev parts I really loved because I just love them as characters. So yeah, so there's that. And then I finished reading Tic Tac Mistletoe, which is the audiobook that I had started on Monday. So I finished reading that, and it was explained why the tic-tac-toe reference was in the title, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was, it's very lighthearted, really well done. It does my favorite thing of like in a relationship, I really just like the focus to be on the people in the relationship. I don't feel like there needs to be side characters, quite honestly, because as with in A Charmed Christmas, like I tend to pay a lot of attention, like, okay, are these side characters necessary for the story? Are they fleshed out? Are they one-dimensional? And so I don't typically feel like a romance story needs side characters. I don't think it needs other characters a ton. And so this one, it had side characters in it, but they didn't play a major part. For the most part, it was Hamish and Wren, just like in Wren's cabin for like 3 days. And it worked really well. So I also gave it 4 stars, mainly because there were, and maybe this isn't fair, but both characters referenced the show Schitt's Creek a lot. And I am not someone who has watched Schitt's Creek. And so I just found myself getting a little frustrated. I'm like, if I had seen the show, I'm sure I would think the quotes and stuff and references were like super funny. But because I haven't, it just felt really random. So I recognize that maybe that's not fair. Maybe I need to watch Schitt's Creek. But that was really the only thing that bothered me. So I gave Tic Tac Mistletoe 4 stars, and I am willing to read more in the series. Probably not till next year because I am a very seasonal reader, and so now I'm more like, well, after tomorrow, I will be like winter reads versus like holiday reads. I'll probably do a holiday read tomorrow. I don't know what though. And see if I can finish it, before Christmas is over. But yeah, that's about it. It's about almost 9 o'clock. So I'm going to call Chris and then go to sleep because we wake up early to do Christmas. And we're waking up at 5. So yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. And I will check in later when I have read. I will read tomorrow, I just don't know what. And I don't know if I'll finish a book. But I know this is coming out like the week after Christmas, but I hope that everyone watching had a very Merry Christmas if that's what you celebrate. And I'll talk to you later. Okay, yes, I'm filming this laying down, but honestly, I think the light is the best this way. I have read 2 more books, and I'm gonna have to step it up if I'm gonna finish my reading goal on time. At this point, I have to read at least 2 books every day, plus an additional 2. The next book I'm planning on reading is fairly short, so it shouldn't take me as long as the book I read today did, but we'll see. So, I've mainly just been hanging out. Like, I spent some family time, we played some games, we've watched some YouTube, I've read. Mainly just been chilling. Which honestly is great because I haven't done that in so long, because usually it was work and school and exercising, and while I do want to exercise because I'm not feeling like the best about myself, I know that once I get back home I will get back in my routine and I'll be solid there. So I've just been kind of enjoying just sitting around. It's been nice. So yesterday, I really should have read more yesterday, but I was so sleepy because we wake up so early on Christmas. We woke up at 5. Well, actually, no, it's not even true. I woke up around 4:15, and then my sibling woke up probably like 30 minutes later. So, yeah. Yesterday I read Christmas with Hans Christian Andersen, which was about, I want to say like 55 pages. And boy, it was depressing. Like, whereas the Louisa May Alcott one was like very wholesome and comforting and whimsical. It was very lovely. The Hans Christian Andersen one was just depressing. There was death in everyone. And while not necessarily human death, the main character, the being whose perspective we got, died in every single one. In some fashion. Because, okay, I'm trying to remember what they were called. The first one was just called The Fir Tree. The second one, God, I can't remember what the second one was. I know the third one is The Little Match Girl, which, full of transparency, I did skip because I've read it before, and I knew how it ended. And then the last one was The Last Dream of the Old Oak, I believe. I don't remember what the second one was. It was another sort of like object thing. I think The Little Match Girl was the only one that was actually following a human. Oh, I have the book like literally right next to me. I could literally just look at what it is. That's really close to my face. Oh, the snowman. So the main character is a snowman. So, yeah, so that was depressing, which I did not enjoy. So I believe I gave it 3 stars? Yeah. If I'm wrong, I'll put the correct star on the bottom, but, so there was that. And I just didn't feel like reading much after that. That was super depressing. Today I started and finished Christmas Wish List by N.R. Walker, which is the second book in the Heartbridge series. And it follows Jaden, who is Australian but has lived in America for like 12 years. He's a chef, he moves around a lot, but he wants to settle down, he just doesn't know where. And he takes this temporary job that's like a week and a half at this bed and breakfast in Heartbridge. And it's a new bed and breakfast, and the owner, Cass, just needs help in the kitchen preparing for this like Christmas opening. And Jaden and Cass get closer, and there's also sort of like instant attraction. And they spend 2 solid days, pretty much just 2 of them. They spend the next like 10 days getting closer, developing feelings, having pretty good communication. And it's just very, very nice. There's very little conflict. Any conflict that arises is solved within like a page or 2, which is nice, honestly, because that's what I want in like a Christmas fluff story. I will say there were more spicy scenes in this book, which I appreciated, and they were very well done. I have read N.R. Walker before. Actually, this is the 3rd book or 3rd novella that I've read by them. I read them during my reading 7 books in 7 days video in the summer. I read Throwing Hearts, and I believe, I want to say I gave that one 5 stars because it was so cute. I loved it. So, N.R. Walker, pretty solid. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Tomorrow, I already know what book I'm going to read next. It's pretty short. So hopefully I can read 2. I would like to read 3 books tomorrow, but we will see. It's also my last day here before I drive back home. So we'll kind of just see. You know, I don't know how much I'll have time for reading. I might be spending time with my family, so. I did a decent amount of reading today. I read 3 books. All of them are fairly short, so like, while that, you know what, no, I'm not going to qualify it. I'm not going to qualify it. I'm pretty proud of that. Even if 2 of them were less than 100 pages, that still counts. So, I'm going to go in order. Okay, the first one was My Omega's Return. And this is about Sebastian, and Destin. And they grew up as best friends. Seb is a male Omega, while Destin is an Alpha. And Seb went away for school, so he's coming back for his fall break. So he's been gone for like, I don't know, like 6 weeks. But apparently that was enough time for their bodies to be like, oh, this person is my mate. We should mate. Obviously this is Omegaverse. And I didn't have an issue with that at all. What I did have an issue with, and maybe this is my fault, is that it had an ambiguous ending, which makes sense for the story, but I feel like instead of it having an ambiguous ending, the author could have combined the first 3 books and made it an actual novel. Because I looked at the series and there's like 8 books in the series. And so I'm like, okay, you have 8 books in the space of like, I don't know, I don't remember, maybe like 5 years or something. Like, could have just combined the first 3 so that there was more of like a happy ending. So that sort of bummed me out. But I do think it was okay. There was some like writing stuff that bothered me, but it was readable. So I gave it 3.5 stars. I will not be continuing the series because I looked ahead at the next 2 books, and it looks like they follow sort of that same path of being ambiguous. So it seems like the series overall will have a happy ending, but the individual books won't. And that's not really my jam. So, so there's that. The second book I read was a graphic novel that I have not read before, but I've heard about, and I knew roughly what the story was. And I've actually seen the play that is based off of it, which is Fun Home by Alison Bechdel. And it is an autobiography of growing up and working in their family's like funeral home, which they shortened to fun home, and their relationship with their father, well, both their parents really, which was pretty complicated, as well as their journey in realizing that they were lesbian and coming out. So it did a lot. It was very well done. It was very engaging. I read it in like 2 sessions. So yeah, I thought it was really good. And I gave that 4.5 stars. So I'm happy to have actually read it, because like I had read like I think snippets in grad school, and I went and saw the play in grad school as well. So like again, I knew what it was about, but was it a play or was it a musical? I want to say it was a musical actually. It was really good, but I'm glad to have read the source material. So yeah, so I gave that 4.5 stars, and then I took a break and we played a game, and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna knock one more out. So we played a game, and then I read, an alpha for Osvaldo, who is one of the main characters. He goes by Ozzy, and it follows Ozzy, who is a male Omega, and he has a one-night stand his senior year of college with this alpha that he's had like a faraway crush on, and he ends up pregnant, and then it jumps forward 12 years, I think, 11 years, and the alpha, who is the father of Jonathan, his name is Jerome. He has spent 12 years trying to find Ozzy, because after their one night stand, Ozzy kind of disappeared and he doesn't know why, whereas Ozzy had tried to tell Jerome that he was pregnant, but someone who answered Jerome's phone pretty much said that, he thought that Ozzy was lying and trying to get Jerome's money, and so Ozzy took that as truth and didn't try it again. And so the story is following them reconnecting and clearing the air and getting a happy ever after. Like, and I can say that because it's like promoted on the Storygraph, on Amazon, and I think on Goodreads, that like this is a low angst, insta love story with a guaranteed happy ending. So, and I liked it. I thought it was fun. There was some writing stuff that like kind of took me out of it a little bit, but for the most part, I had a good time. I'm pretty sure I gave it 4 stars because I liked it. I might be interested in continuing the series. It follows other couples in this like small town, but I don't necessarily feel the need to do that because it's not like there's a plot that I'm like following. But no, I thought that was a fun time. So that's that. I do have 2 audiobooks picked out for my drive tomorrow because I'm driving home. And I will start with Half Gods, which has been on my TBR for a very long time. However, I'm not necessarily looking forward to it because the audiobook on Audible has a 2.5 rating. So we'll see how that goes. And then I also have Game Changer by Rachel Reed set up. I wouldn't be able to finish it on the drive if I listen to Half Gods as well, but I do want to start the series properly because I have read Heated Rivalry before. I watched the show. It's very good. But I have not read the rest of the series, and so I want to go back and start it properly. However, I've heard from some of my friends online who have also had the idea to like go back and start the series that the audiobook for Game Changer is not the best. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So I may only finish 1 audiobook tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But that's about it. I'm gonna finish packing and everything, and then I'm going to drive home tomorrow morning. I am home. I'm also very annoyed. Just because a purely like situational thing I have resumed using my spinning wheel to make decisions, and I had put to undecorate and clean because it usually takes me like 3 months to take down all the holiday decorations. So I wanted to get a good start. And I landed on that, and I was trying to take down a tote to put the holiday decorations in. The one I was able to get down was apparently full, and I couldn't reach any of the other ones that were probably empty, and so I just got really frustrated. And yeah, now I'm just annoyed. Anyway, I drove home yesterday, and it was a pretty decent drive, I will say. There was a brief, like, I had to stop twice because there were a band of, like, thunderstorms and tornado watches. Yeah. But once they passed, like, quickly. So that only set me back, like, maybe an hour, so it wasn't that bad. I was home by, I think I got home around 5:30, and then Chris and I went to dinner. I listened to the audiobook for Half Gods, and it was interesting. Not my type of book, I will say, but God, my hair is crazy. It was certainly interesting. So Half Gods is a collection of, like, I think it's 10 interconnected short stories, all relating to this one family from Sri Lanka, and sort of revolving around them leaving Sri Lanka due to the Civil War. Now, this is a part of history that I'm not super familiar with, so that was really interesting to learn more about, and I would like to learn more about it so I could fully understand it. And the writing was good. I feel like there was something in the writing or just something in the stories that just, like, wasn't holding my focus. It was making it difficult. So what I ended up doing was, like, alternating of, like, I would finish a short story and then listen to, like, a podcast, and then listen to a short story and listen to a podcast. So by the time I got home, I had only, like, the last story left, and so after I took a shower, Chris had fallen asleep on the bed because he hasn't been sleeping well since I haven't been home. And so since he was sleeping, I just went ahead and listened to the last chapter while I was playing a mobile game, so I just knocked it out. Like I said, I think it was very well written. I would be interested to read more writing from this author. With that being said, I don't think I will, just because I have said it many times. I read for escapism, and I read for, even more specifically, happy endings. And while this wasn't, like, a super depressing book or anything like that, I just don't see any indication that this author writes, like, things with happy endings, and that's totally fine. I'm not saying it's a bad book. It's not at all. Like, it's actually, it was very well done. Just one of those things that's, like, it's just not for me. It's not what I read for. I didn't enjoy it. I don't think I was supposed to. But, so yeah, so I gave it 3 stars. I'm glad I read it because I've had it on my physical shelves for, like, I don't even know, many years. So, yeah, that was that. So in total, I counted in my planner, I read 9 books this week, which, pretty solid. I'm pretty happy with that. And yeah, that's about it. I don't really have anything else to say. So having read 9 books this week, I'm feeling more optimistic about my reading goal. I have to read 6 more by the end of Wednesday. So we will see. we will see what happens. Make sure you watch next week's vlog. But thank you so much for coming along with me. I hope you enjoyed the holiday reading at the beginning of the week, and then, just reading anything I felt was short enough. So if you need short book recommendations, I hope this helped you out a lot. Leave me a comment, like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.